meeting is being recorded.
Tech fans, welcome to Up with the White and Gold. I'm Jeremy the Impact York. He is GaTechJon Watts. How are you, John?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a good weekend, all around for the most part. Did a couple wins, locally and locally. It was a nice win, nice couple wins this weekend.
Yeah, I think the only people who didn't have a good weekend probably go to the Virginia Military Institute.
Also, those ones up at Vandy.
Meh. I had those teams a lot closer than most people did.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting game, I mean, even our own game, I thought it would have been a little bit closer. I was crazy looking at the 45-point underdog of VMI. I was like, we haven't even scored 45 points in a game this season. Like, what y'all talking about? And then, okay, well, I'll eat my words.
If you just look at the fourth quarter, it was tied 7-7. I mean, but yeah, Tech outscored VMI 14-0 in the third, 17-0 in the first, and 21-0 in the second. So they had a little bit of a lead before they were able to get it, before they had to worry about 52 points. Yeah, 52 points before the fourth quarter even started. That's approaching some record numbers, about 100-year-old records.
Yeah, definitely. It was up there, and I think it's the top 10 of our points scored in the game. Margin of victory. So yeah, it was definitely up there. I mean, it's not anywhere close to our greatest victory.
No,
but I don't know if it was really close to that.
Yeah, oddly enough. But I mean, even in looking at the breakdown, we're gonna get more into it. Obviously, I mean, it starts where almost halfway through the first quarter, finally Tech kicks a 28-yard field goal, and you're like, oh, great. They can't, they're moving the ball a little bit, but they're not getting close enough to score, and they're having to kick a field goal, and what's going to happen? And then, it's like 3 minutes later, here's a touchdown, and then like 4 minutes later, here's another touchdown, and before you know it, it's 17-0 after one.
Yeah, definitely. I think coming off the previous week with that, kind of heartfelt loss, and then coming into this week when you're facing a team that's, it's an FCS team, and you sometimes come into those and you're thinking, it's an FCS team. We don't have to work too hard. And the FCS team was like, you know what, we're going to play. We're going to try to come and play and see what we can do, because for the last, I think I heard it earlier, it was the other day, it's been a very long time, a streak going that every year we have one FCS team beat an FBS team every single year. And, that's probably one of those things that, they just kind of throw in the back of their mind, on the back burner. And, we're going to play. I mean, likely they got paid to come play. And I'm like, why not? We'll show out. And in the beginning of it, they were doing that, and then Tech realized, like, okay, let's get our stuff together, and drove on through that quarter, and the next quarter, and the next quarter.
Well, I mean, do we know the actual payout? Because whatever facility they're going to build, I think they should name it the Haynes King Convocation Center, because that was pretty much the highlight of their weekend down at the Flats.
I haven't seen a number.
See, Georgia Tech's one who won't yell out loud how much money they spent for somebody to come in and play them, because normally they're the ones that gets brought in. They were the ones getting paid to show up to some of these in recent years, but now that they're on the other side of it, they're not ones to kiss and tell, so to say. They're not that worried about knowing how much they spend.
Right. You see that in other games. I think the game in Northern Illinois won. They were paid $1.1 million to come in and play, and end up winning. So those kind of games, you're like, ooh. So like, don't necessarily have to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as long as they name the Haynes King Hanging Gardens or the yeah, pretty much Haynes King. It was Haynes King a lot. He threw 3 touchdowns. I thought he rushed for another. Did he? No, he didn't, but he might as well have. In fact, he didn't run that much, did he? I don't
Not
think he
even
had
really
to.
have to.
I mean, we had Trelane Maddox, who came out of absolutely nowhere and seemed to be a little bit of a workhorse. Anthony Carey put up some big yards, and I call it the Tim Tebow play. That anytime you see Zach Pyron on the goal line, it's a sneak. He's gonna run the ball in, and yet he gets it every time.
Yep. It's what everyone does. You put in your backup quarterback, and well, yeah, this is probably what this is going to be, and that's what we use him for, and you still didn't block it. So,
Well, I mean, and Zach's kind of a small fella anyway. I mean, he's 6'3", 220. He's so small, he gets in between everybody like that, and it's just no. Come on, guys. He's 6'3", 220. This is this is like this is like a snowball basically staring at you, and you just let it go right past you. I mean the bright red hair, every everything about this guy jumps out. It might as well have a beacon light going around, a bunch of confetti, a clown nose, and I still think they wouldn't see him. It's amazing that the other team's like, oh, he's in the backfield again. Surely he's not going to run it again. Hey, he ran it again.
yeah, I mean, you think after a while that if he's doing the same thing over and over, that people think we figure it out, and then but once we figure it out, then we'll just use them some other way. But it's just not. They're not figuring it out. It's like okay, it's kind of obvious. I think the people on the moon could see this coming. So,
Yeah, I mean, they, for the lack of it, this is not a derogatory term because I'm going by the textbook Webster's Dictionary meaning of the word insane. VMI is insane because insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They saw the backup quarterback in the backfield and thought there's no way they're going to do what they did last time. And they did it multiple times. And you're like, you guys are insane. You literally are your picture belongs in I don't think they actually print Webster's dictionaries anymore, but if you go online, if there is a picture version, VMI should be beside it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe they print them somewhere. Someone still wants a dictionary somewhere, and maybe some of them Encyclopedia Britannicus.
What is their mascot? That's what I'm trying to find. What is VMI?
It's a cadet.
The what?
A cadet. Think of like cadet, but instead of CA, it's or key. It's cadet.
Well, the Keydets didn't have a good day, but Coach Key did.
Yep. Exactly.
I got to check the AJC at some point. I bet you that's somewhere in the headline, and I hope it is because that.
I mean, low hanging fruit right there. Like somebody ever use it.
That's how you get people to read the paper. You got to have something funny.
Yeah.
It's a great. By the way, subscribe. They don't even pay me to say that. Subscribe to the paper and tell them I said hello. I got a lot of friends at the AJC. But let's see. That was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns. That was all of them. Okay, I was making sure we didn't miss one somewhere. I'm really surprised that there wasn't a defensive one, but the defense was almost like a cat playing with its food. Just like we're not gonna let them really get away or anything or get past us. We're just gonna kind of keep them up here in front of us, and as long as you stay up here, we're fine with it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's one of those, like, after a while, you're like, well, the offense is scoring a lot. We don't really have to do a whole lot here. Just keep them where they're at. Or we're under pressure to really do anything to help them out. Because, they're definitely helping themselves out. So we'll just do what we can to keep them out of the end zone.
I mean, they had 3 sacks. I feel like, I mean, yeah, a lot of people had some pretty good days, some tackles for loss, stuff like that. Jordan Vandenberg was one that his name was said a lot, but I thought Joshua Robinson was probably the best defender all day, and it wasn't just because he had a sack, because I think Tatum and I'm just going to say his first name, Sylvan, had the other 2 sacks, but it just seemed like Joshua Robinson. I heard his name every drive at some point. He was on top of somebody, he was knocking somebody back, or he was, he was in the backfield. It seemed like Joshua Robinson really had a game.
Yeah, definitely. Sylvain Yanjuan, what you were trying to say there.
That would have been my guess, was Yonduin, but I was not going to butcher it that early.
I mean, I'll go for it. They throw me out of the bus, or the wreck, or the stinger. But yeah, definitely. One of those kind of areas that we are doing pretty well there, and getting in the backfield, and it's not always the same guy spreading it around and able to get back there. So yeah, that was definitely a good game for him. Definitely for all the defense, but yeah, definitely on him and getting those sacks.
And I think field position had something to do with it, but this was actually statistically David Shanahan's worst game as the punter. And it wasn't because, I mean, there's other games where he only kicked a couple times, but he kicked 3 times for a total of 116 yards. That's a 38.7 average. He did kick 2 into the 20, but that tells you right there that he was just trying to drop it in the bucket. And the one that got away was probably just a weird roll, but he's still one of the best kickers in the ACC, by far the best punters. And I just hate that this hurts his average, but it's probably because they were near midfield when the drive stopped, and you can't kick a 50-yarder from there.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I mean, when you don't have a whole lot of opportunity to do so, I mean, 3 kicks is it's not really a lot in a game. We've definitely had other games where he's definitely had a lot of practice and out there. So, yeah, I'm between that and, like you said, kicking in the end zone, you lose a lot of yards there when it comes back. So, yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure we'll run into somebody where we'll get some numbers in there.
Possibly this week, but we will get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
They just they kept them to, let's see, 92. Wow, that's easy. 92 and 12 is 104. 104 total yards by VMI. Total offensive yards. That's completely it. Their leading rusher was JoJo Crump, who had 16 yards on the ground. Chandler Wilson, their quarterback, 51 yards in the air, 41 for Brady Hammonds when he came in. He actually threw the lone touchdown. I mean, they really didn't get out of the gate at all, it seems like. And the only fumble they had, they were able to get back. But I mean, their defense played okay. They were doing a decent job of keeping Georgia Tech from scoring every play, but instead it was like every 4th play.
Yeah, definitely. Our offensive line have done a great job of being good pass protectors. We're one of the few schools that has not allowed a sack this season. And so it's definitely a good job there. I mean, on what they're doing. So I mean, that definitely helped kind of go down there.
And I see who their leading tackler was, and I'm going to say his name for a lot of reasons, just because I was going to call him out anyway. But it was kind of going to be something I was going to segue into. Spelled slightly different, but Seamus Jones had 6 total tackles and a pass defense for VMI. So, shout out to Mrs. Jones' baby boy there, Seamus. And that brings me to, the Seamus sighting. He seems to show up quite a bit in Atlanta for these, which a lot of people don't know. Do you happen to know the roundabout area that he calls home?
I'm not familiar, but I'm sure you would be.
He's somewhere near the Nashville area. So, about a 2 to 3 hour drive south will bring you to the flats to watch Georgia Tech home games. It's not that he's that far away.
Mm-mm.
Especially when they let him drive the car.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, yeah, I mean, he was there and, help us. And we were like, yeah, definitely. Um, it's a good little partnership there. And of course, I mean, if you're going to let me drive the car, yeah, I'll come. Be on the sideline, drive the car, hang out with everybody. Yeah, sure, definitely.
I'll do it
Um,
for a chili steak and a chili dog, but I mean that's fine. If they want to let us drive the car too, that's fine.
yeah, I mean, it's not like the wrestlers aren't familiar with the area. The other wrestler,
Yep.
who actually always came down as well. So, um,
Yeah, I was about, I had almost forgotten about that Coach Key took a photo this week. I don't know why he ain't took one with Sheamus. Sheamus is pretty hard to miss, especially
yeah, again, the red
especially down
hair.
there on Techwood. It's not a lot of people look like that guy.
Nope.
Uh, but it seemed that a former linebacker for the team, who now spends his Friday nights and occasional Sundays on WWE television, and Joe Anawayi, I believe is how you say his name, but most people will know him as the original tribal chief, Roman
Yep.
Reigns. Yeah, I saw that picture and I was like, first off, what's he doing in town? Because I don't think they were in this area. They could have been. I don't think they were though.
Mhm.
But it's cool to see him come back because it's an interesting time to come back. And maybe Brent Key reached out to him and said, "Hey, if you're ever in the area, stop by. We'd love to. If you want to talk to the team or just look around or just say hey, we'd love to have you." And he showed up.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of cool when you kind of see some of the teams, people that have played before come back. Especially for me, having went to school at the same time as Mr. Anawahi.
And Calvin.
Calvin, um, Joseph Anawahi. I mean, and then for you basketball fans, Chris Bosh, who played with Miami Heat. These were the guys that were there when I was there. So I mean, seeing them come back and what they've been able to done with their careers is really good to see.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll run into him sometime. That's always a possibility.
I mean, with people I keep running into, I mean, like I said, it was maybe a few feet from USC coach Lincoln Riley on Friday. So you never know. And the way you run into people.
Yeah, it's true. That's I like how people tell me these things after the fact. Uh because I mean, granted you didn't have a prior heads up, but uh there's a good chance that if you would have told me that Lincoln Riley and one of his number one assistant coaches and Cameron Newton were all down on the sideline of the Carrollton Trojans game, there's a good chance that I would not have been sitting here at the studio on a Friday night editing videos and watching wrestling. I probably would have been at don't remember the name of the stadium, Trojan Stadium. We're gonna go with that.
Grisham.
Yeah, that too.
He's
But
a
no,
former coach down there that led Carrollton a lot of state titles.
yeah, he was actually a real good
But
coach. I'll give him his due
yeah,
on that one. I don't know a lot about him, but I do know a little bit about his coaching. And also, this is what I say all the time. All these programs that I mean, whether it's Kennesaw or Georgia State or Georgia or I mean at this point USC or Nebraska, they're always looking for talent, and they come to this state, but they don't come out to West Georgia where we are. And there's literally 7 or 8 teams where pick a position, and there's a kid you should probably have on your team, and that's any of them. I don't care if they win every game or they lose every game. The talent in the state is crazy, but especially out here in the West Georgia area where we're at, it's off the charts.
yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I know several years ago, I mean, Heard County quarterback Emory Jones ended up going to like Florida, and I think he's been doing some things, pretty good things out there. He's bound around a little bit, but he's still doing some good things. So I mean, we see people from around. Our buddy Nathan played for Clemson and played for had a couple teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Great teams around here that you can people you can pick up. I mean, Jonathan Jones for out of Carrollton plays for the Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, Reggie Brown was a great NFL guy who went to school with my wife at Carrollton. So it's definitely got good kids around here. Just gotta come out here, and some people do. Like USC, Lincoln Riley, and Kirby Smart at UGA. He's been out here. Brent Key's been out here. So I mean, it's definitely you just see it.
Yeah.
Just good, and be good with all the school around here that picking up good people. There's definitely talent out here.
Yeah. And I was going to say next time I run into Coach Bohannon at Kennesaw, I'd mention, hey, maybe you should check out some of the talent out here for future years. And his off week is coming up this week, so you guys keep your eyes peeled. Coach Bohannon could be in the area. I have no idea where he could be. He may go to Hawaii this week. I don't know, but like we say, come check out, Georgia in general, but come check out the West Georgia area. There's just so much talent. And speaking of so much talent, we go to this week's game.
Yep.
Remember, we said that we thought Tech could be pretty good this year. I think we had them 8, 9 wins, somewhere in 10 wins. We had them somewhere in that area, which is still possible, still very possible. They're doing well at the moment. Wow, there's a game tomorrow. I didn't even know that. Currently sitting at 3-1. It's crazy that they've played 4 and they're going against a team that is 2-0 and only played 2 games up at this point.
Right.
But we also said that there are a couple teams that are sleeper teams in the ACC, and there are a couple teams that should be better than Tech. Tech still has the chance to beat them, and we will talk about why. But I think Syracuse was one of those teams, and I think Louisville is the other. That they're kind of sleeper teams in the ACC, but as wide open as it is, if you're gonna say, well, if Miami's not gonna win it, if Clemson's not gonna win it, if the usual suspects don't win it, who is? Well, I think you got to go Louisville. I think you got to go Georgia Tech, and you got to go Syracuse. Those are the teams that are just surprising everybody right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Louisville, they're doing very well. I mean, they're averaging 55 points a game. They were second in their defensive in the nation. So it's definitely going to be a team to look at for the ACC. Definitely a hard matchup for us coming on Saturday.
Yeah, I was looking at some of their numbers because I double whatever their number is to see how it compares to Georgia Tech, and they would be slightly above in their top quarterback, their top running back, and their top receiver would be slightly above the numbers that are Tech putting up. But like you said, they're averaging 50 plus points a game. So Tech's averaging about 35, probably something like that. So it's a little bit of a difference. It's a little difference in the competition because even though FSU can't, Jameis used to talk about eating those W's, and I guess Publix ran out of them or something. I'm not real sure about that. They should check. But they're still a quality team. They're a team that's not winning, but FSU has their problems. So I'm not going to say, that, oh, well, Tech beat a really, really bad team. It's like, no, Tech beat a good team that was going toe-to-toe, and FSU didn't make that many mistakes in week 1. So I want to give Tech more credit and FSU a little more credit. Leading into this game, this might be the toughest game Tech's played yet. I think Louisville is going to be a little better than Syracuse. And the only weakness as far as that is that they've played half the games that Tech has. So by now, Tech is figured out what works and what doesn't, and Louisville's still going to try some things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at the competition, like you said, we've played Florida State, who was, coming into the season was ranked 10, who was supposed to be a good team. Unfortunately, they just found out that things just weren't working out for them. And we played several other teams. Well, Louisville, I mean, nothing against Louisville, but they have played 2 teams that weren't expected to compete with them. So, I mean, a blowout win that they've had last week, and
okay,
this will be their first. This will be their
They've
ACC
had
opener.
2 preseason games is what they've had. 2 preseason games.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the numbers look good, and they're doing enough to, be ranked number 19. So, they're definitely doing some numbers, great numbers there. But, when we're comparing some of the things that, you have our quarterback who's looking at completion rate is tied for fifth in the nation, where theirs is eighth in efficiency and 29th in accuracy. And it's kind of different things there and there. So, but that's going to be something that we have to look at is, they're definitely want to pass. They've got a great defense. So those are things that our offensive line is really going to have to look at blocking. Like I said earlier, we haven't allowed a sack yet, but they're pretty high up there. They're ranked pretty high in the nation. In that area, like I said earlier, they're second nationally with 4.5 sacks and 9.5 tackles per game. So that's definitely going to be an area we want to kind of look at is making sure our line can protect Haynes. So it's definitely going to be a matchup that it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I was just looking at their sack leaders. It's going to be a little skewed because I believe both those teams are FCS that they have played. They got one guy with 3, couple with 2, and 2 more with 1. So you really got 5 players that have counted for 9 sacks. 4 defensive linemen and a defensive back. So that kind of tells you that, yeah, they got the pressure up front, but it also tells you that if they were going against talent that they were clearly better than, they didn't need linebackers to run in because the defensive line was getting pressured. The only reason that the defensive back has 2 sacks is they probably ran a DB blitz or something like that, somebody off the corner. So I don't know that they have a big pass rush, but I don't think they've been tested enough for us to actually know that. I think this will be a test for that offensive line, as you said. And it's going to be a fun game, I think.
Yeah. And also just kind of throw out an interesting fact here is that over the last 5 games that Georgia Tech has played a ranked team, we've won all 5 of them. So, so I know sometimes that's if a guy on ESPN said that would make things bad, but hopefully I didn't jinx that. But yeah, it's a bit different. We've, like I said, our running back has leads the ACC with rushing touchdowns and 7th in yards. So he's 46 attempt. He's 4.63 yards per carry. Almost 5 yards every time he gets the ball. So it'll be definitely helpful. And kind of looking. We're 2-1 against Louisville. It should have been 3-0, but they came back last year and mounted a great comeback against us. But different things here and there. It all depends on what team wants to come out. Are we going to see? Is Louisville going to be number 19? Are they only number 19 because they played those 2 FCS schools, like you said, Austin P and Jacksonville State? Or are they really should be there? Or are we going to come out like we did against VMI? Or are we going to play like we did against Syracuse, where it's going to be like all day?
Yeah, and it's going to be a little later in the season before I see Jack State up close, so it would be hard for me to be able to tell by that point. By the time I see them in person, so they are on Kennesaw's schedule. That's when I say that.
Yeah.
But real quickly, what we got? About 5 minutes left. They got to go to L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium up in Louisville to play this game. It's an ESPN 2, 3:30 start. Louisville is a 10.5 point favorite, which is disrespectful to both teams. And the line is 57.5. I think you should actually take the over. I think both these teams are going to be in the 30s somewhere. I think it's going to be a lot closer than 10.5. But how can Georgia Tech win this game?
Like I said before, we've got to at the O-line, we got to protect. They have a great defensive, like I said, their defense and their sacks. We got to protect that. You've got a quarterback against Louisville who loves to throw. So we've got to do we had a problem earlier in the season where we were leaving people wide open. We've got to make sure we protect them there, make sure we don't send those plays. And like I said, they're likely going to try to do the big plays. They have a quarterback who can do that. So, and those are kind of the two big areas: is can we protect against that defense, and how are we going to do against a quarterback like that?
I think the three aces up Brent Key's sleeve are these three players. I think this is going to be pretty back and forth. I think it's going to be pretty even. It's going to come down to Zach Pyron on some of those goal line or some of those 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 when you need. I mean, knowing what he's going to do, he's still going to go in there and still get 1 or 2 yards when you need him like that. It's going to come down to Aiden Burr. He's going to need to hit a kick to really keep him in it. And for punter's name, I just forgot his name. Shanahan, David Shanahan. He's going to have to pin them deep when that Louisville defense stops the offensive drives for Tech. He's going to have to help flip the field and put them further back. And I think if those three have a pretty solid day, doesn't even have to be a crazy day. Don't even have to play out of their minds. But I think those three, it's going to come down to probably at least 2 of the 3 making some big moments.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Definitely always key players there that we want to use every game. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And for anybody that doesn't believe me, I put in all my picks for college and pro earlier today, and I got Tech winning this game. I think it's going to be 3 or 4 points. All right, it's going to be really close by the end. I don't know if they pull ahead at the end or they just can stick it out. But I went with them. A lot of me wanted to say Louisville. I'm even wearing a red shirt right now for some reason, but I feel like Tech can win this game. And if they prove that they can at least go toe to toe, if not beat Louisville, then you got to consider them one of the betting favorites for the ACC.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was thinking the same thing pretty close. You were talking about both teams in the 30s, and that's kind of where my head was. And you said about 3 points, and that's right where my head is. I was in my head was 34-31 Tech.
I was thinking 37-34. So, we're right in that pocket where I think it's right in that area. This is going to be a fun game. Based on the timing, I don't think this will be one that we will be that people can follow along with us on X or anything about. I don't think I'll be live tweeting this one. I don't think you will either. But somewhere down the road, we're going to do that. Whether we watch the game, it's together, or
Yep.
we're watching separately. We'll do something where people that follow this can follow along if they want to.
Yep, sounds good.
You can hear our random mumblings in text form across the internet. But we are at the end of our show. Appreciate everybody tuning in each and every week. For GaTechJon Watts, I am Jeremy the Impact York. We will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses, go Jackets.
Go Jackets.